Hello, Aldwyn Altuney here. I am so excited about our interview today. We have the amazing Alan Stevens coming to us today, all the way from New South Wales. I'll tell you a little bit about Alan before we chat with him. He's an international profiling and communications specialist, regularly featured on national TV, radio, and in the world's press. Profiling the likes of our leading politicians, TV and sports stars, as well as Britain's royalty. He has been referred to by the UK Guardian as the leading authority on reading people globally, and the mentalist meets Dr. Phil by the Herald. Alan has worked with international clients, the likes of Disney Films and Gillette, and high-profile organisations like the Australian Federal Police to help them understand how people tick. He works with business owners and executives, helping them to understand and engage their clients and prospects, enhancing their presentations and negotiation skills. And with parents and teachers to help them enhance the ability of their children to reach their full potential while improving the experience of parents, teachers, and students. His latest community initiative is the Campfire Project. The Campfire Project is a safe place for men and women to give themselves permission to tell their stories, to share their experiences and wisdom from around the world. And this is the hashtag #WeTogether initiative. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you very much. I've been looking forward to having another chat with you.
Oh, we had a fantastic chat yesterday. Alan interviewed me for the Campfire Project, and you'll see that up on the Campfire Project in the group later this week, which will be wonderful. And I shared from the heart, and I shared things in that interview that I had never shared before online. So if you would like to see what I shared, then check that out later this week. That will be up there. Now, Alan, I heard about you well before I actually met you, and it's funny, after I heard about you, I then started seeing you at all these networking events online. So your reputation precedes you, and I know that people have been raving about your Campfire Project, and your face profiling is amazing as well. So can you let us know a little bit about how you got into face profiling and why the Campfire Project?
Okay, well, getting into face profiles, like most people, we end up going into the fields that we really need to learn more about. And I was dreadful at reading people. I've been through 2 divorces. I've had a lot of relationships. I've even had business partners who emptied the bank out along the way. And it was after my second divorce, I realised I really needed to understand people more effectively. And through some chance meetings and talking to different people, my attitude to life is the most important thing I'll ever learn is the next thing I learn after I think I know everything. So I went out and I asked people who were profiling, who were doing different ways of reading people. And I found a gentleman by the name of Paul Ekman in the States who worked with the micro expressions, the little twitches on the face. And then also a lady by the name of Naomi Tickle, an English lady in California, who looked at the facial features and how they determine your personality, not your character, but your personality. So I've then combined those along with the language and also body language as well, and created rapid trait profiling, which has now been recognised as unique globally.
Wow. Amazing. And I'm sure people watching this are thinking, I wonder what their face says, right? And how do you profile a face? Like, what does it mean? How do you do it? What are some things you look for when you look at face profiling?
Well, in the face, if you think about it, first of all, if you lift weights, you're going to build muscles in your body. And we also know that everything that we feel inside, we express outwardly. So if we can tell when somebody's unhappy, they're slumped over, their shoulders are forward, etc. We can tell by their expressions on their face. So that part of it, you put those two together, and we know that if somebody's thinking in a certain way over and over again, over time, with the expressions they pull while they're working, they will create ridges and crevices on their face, which give away their personality. And so there used to be a belief that called phrenology, which was particular face shapes would be serial killers and things like that. That was debunked because that's talking about character. I'm talking about the personality. So when you think in a certain way and you pull those expressions, you'll end up with those ridges and crevices. that tells me how somebody likes to think and process, not what they're thinking and processing. So two people can look very similar. One could be a saint, one could be a sinner. One's trying to figure out, well, how do I help the people around me? And the other one's figuring out, how can I rip them off? Where is the profits that I can make in all of this? And so by looking at it that way, it does judge people, but not in a way that we're judging people now. How many times have you seen somebody who reminded you of somebody who did the wrong thing by you in the past? Straight away, we don't trust them. And we go, oh, we were right. But what we do is we create a self-fulfilling prophecy because they pick up that we've pulled away. They don't trust us, and we create the situation. And we've missed an opportunity to really connect with somebody. And so that's why I realised that using psychometric profiling, where I was asking questions before, left me at a disadvantage because I had all that time to ask the questions. I had to hope that they were answering it correctly, that it was the way they would really answer it, not just the way they thought they should answer it, that they understood the questions that I was asking. Well, I can walk past somebody in the street, and as I walk past them, I can read their personality without them speaking a single word, which therefore gives me the advantage. If I go to meet with somebody, find their face on their LinkedIn profiles, websites, social media, and determine their personality and prepare my presentation before I even speak to them. And so when I meet with them, it's an instant connection with them. Amazing.
So can people use this in their everyday life? Like, could you give us a few tips on things to look out for with people? What are are there any warning signs to look out for when you're looking at people's faces? I mean, I don't know, what are some
okay,
things
when it comes to warnings and that, we're mainly looking and thinking about what they're feeling in the moment, their emotions. That's where the micro expressions and body language come in. That then tells us what they're really feeling. Now, a micro expression, by the way, it's a micro because it's fast. It happens when something happens around us or something is said, we instantly respond unconsciously. And then we consciously, our consciousness steps in and we cut off that expression. Give you an example. You're walking along and you see something at the corner of your feet, and you get that surprise and you jump away. And then you realise it's just a curled up hose. It's not a snake as we might have thought, or an animal of some form. And so that's that time frame. But that is as fast as a fifth of a second down to 1/25th of a second. So that's how fast the expression appears on the face. So while we're talking to somebody, we're looking for those. We're looking to see, are they congruent with what we're expecting? Are they in context with it? And we look at, how many indicators. If we're getting one that's pointing in one direction, like somebody is smiling, for instance, when we expect they should be showing sadness. Like you just tell them that their best friend is just broken up from their partner, and you see a sudden little twitch of a smile on the face. And they can't control that because that's a micro expression. It's instantaneously unconscious. Then the conscious mind cuts it off. In that moment, we know exactly what they feel. They were happy about the partner having broken up with their partner, or their friend breaking up with their partner. What we don't know is why they're happy. It could be a number of reasons. It could be, we didn't like their partner. Their partner was somebody who was abusive, and now we're happy for them because they'll have a better life. Another one could be that they've been a bit cocky lately, they've been a bit smart, and it's about time they had a bit of a wake-up call. And so not so friendly. It might be the third one. Oh, well, I've been waiting for that their other partner to go because now they're available. I've got a shot. It could be a whole range of different reasons as to why. So the expression will give us an indicator, but then we ask further questions and we get more indications, so that way we get a cluster of information in a short period of time, and we know their feelings and whether they're telling us the truth and all the rest of it. But the real strength is in reading the facial features, and in those, you can read those in young children all the way up through adults. So I can look at children who are preschool and tell you what they're going to be like when they get to school. I can tell you what hobbies and sports will suit their personalities before they pick their final subjects at school. In high school, we've got a good idea of what careers will suit their personality. So if we then help and guide them and say, right, here's a job that may suit you, go and check this out in the job guide. And they go, yeah, that sounds like the job. And they then go to university or TAFE, do their training for that. They're more likely to finish that training And we know that so many people presently finish university degrees and never use them. That's because on the way through, the study doesn't align with what they really like to do, and therefore they're not going to enjoy the job either. So they've wasted all that time and got a HECS debt. Now they can go into something that matches their personality, enjoy the training. So when they go to the workforce, they enjoy their work. And the only time they really want to change employers is to get further advancements in that field. So they're not going to cut and change and swap jobs all over the place. In my life, I was 23 years with Telecom, and I left them on the day they became Telstra. And since then, I've worked in just about every industry you can think of. And I know that most millennials that are coming through, they will have, they're talking about 20, 25 different careers. You know, and how many years do we work? 20 or 40 years? So virtually changing their jobs every 2 years, and the total career as well, not just the organisations. So if you actually fit into that organisation, you might change to another one simply because you want to get an advancement in that same career. But while you're working in that career, you're doing something you love, therefore you're more productive. The company makes more money. So there's a reason why the company should know how to read their staff and understand their personalities. And then if they're happier at work, they're more likely to be happier at home. That then has an effect on the relationship with their spouse, which means it can help to reduce domestic violence. If they're happier with their spouse, happier at work and everything else, they're happier with their kids. And the kids are growing up happier, and they're not out there bullying other kids because they're happy, not miserable. And so that's wherever we insert this, it affects every area of life.
That's amazing work you do. And what about, how can you tell if someone is lying? I did hear that, you know, if someone looks down, that they could be lying. What do we look out for something like that?
Well, in that side, that the directions of where we look, that all came into body language and the NLP practices. We look up for visual. We look out to the side for what things sound like, or what they sound like. And we go down into one side for our kinesthetic, you know, what do things feel like inside? And the other side, well, how do we, you know, it's our internal dialect. What do we think about that? Now, one side is remembering and one side is constructing. So if I look up visually, I'm trying to get a visual picture of something. It could be remembering, and it could be creating what something would look like. The problem is everyone, you know, you'll see the drawings out there, and it'll show that looking up to your left is where you remember something, what something looks like. And to the right side, you're looking up to construct what something would look like. The same with the auditory. Out to the left is to remember. Out to the right is to create, well, what would it have sounded like? If you had a dog like a German Shepherd and it barked like a Chihuahua, what would that sound like? That sort of thing. But the problem is not everybody's wired that way. There's no absolute. So some people will be cross-wired. They'll still be visual up, auditory down, and their kinesthetic and the internal dialect down below altogether. But they may remember on this side. This is why we always have idle chit-chat with people beforehand in interrogation, in a, what would you call it, an interview. We want to find out how that person, you know, do they really fit their resume? Is that true? Well, we get into idle chit-chat. We ask them questions where we know that it's something that they might have said they were interested in the football and they were watching the football on the weekend. And you might ask them about one of the plays. Do you remember seeing that? What did you see? And you watch where they look, because they will then get that representation. So if they look up to the left, you know that's their memory side for their visual. And you know that if they look to the right, it's the other way over. So once we've got that, then and only then, when we start asking them really deep questions and trying to find out what did happen at a certain time, we then see if they will look at us on the same side when they're answering it. So if you say to them, okay, you worked out that, okay, the left was because my side is the left, that's where I remember. And then if somebody asks me, you know, well, you were that accident, what did you see? And if I look over to the right, I'm making it up. If, however, I look up to the left, I'm sourcing that picture of getting it back into my mind's eye of what was actually, what I actually heard or saw at the time. If I look out to the side, then it's what I'm hearing at the time. So that's where that side of it comes in. But the real way of measuring whether someone's telling you the truth or not comes into the micro expressions, and that incorporates the eyebrows, the eyes, and the mouth itself. And so, if you think about it, if somebody smiles, then the mouth's going to turn up on the corner. If they're really happy, then the eye socket, the muscles around there will go really tight, and you get those laughter lines. And so now you know the person is really happy. So it's like you give somebody a present and they just give you that little nice smile in the face there, but nothing happens here. It's like, when I was growing up, the auntie always gave me the pair of socks. It was always a polite thank you for the socks, just what I, and in brackets, didn't need type thing.
Right.
But so if the lines are there, that person's really feeling joy. But if you've said something to them and you get a little quick movement of the mouth down and the eyebrows tilt up in the middle, they go that way, then you know that there's sadness involved. Now, with the face, there's 43 muscles in the face, and we can pull over, well, they believe about 10,000 expressions. There's 3,000 that Paul Ekman and his team mapped and gave, worked out all the muscles and gave them names and everything else. And he produced a great book called FACS, Facial Action Coding System, which is hundreds of hours of fun if you want to learn all those expressions and work out the muscles and pull the expressions yourself. Or you can just learn the 7 micro expressions: happiness, sadness, fear, surprise, contempt, disgust, etc. Those will then, when a person's got any one of those expressions on their face, instantaneously what they're feeling at the time. So anger, contempt, and disgust are all ones that that the person's not happy about things. Anger is, you violated my space, I want you out of it. Contempt is, I'm better than you. What you've just done is beneath me. I think it's just, you're not good enough. You get that one from your spouse on a regular basis, you've got problems. And contempt as well, one side of the face going up, that little twitch, just going, you're definitely beneath me, just don't want to be around you. Fear and surprise is just a quick one. And by the way, if you see surprise on someone's face for more than a second, it's not true. It's put on. Because a micro expression is fast, and unconsciously we try and contain it. So surprise will move on to something else. It might intensify into fear, or it could turn into anger or contempt, or it just go, they've got to be kidding. They were trying to threaten me, but they're a bit of a joke, and you might laugh or smile. And then you've got happiness and sadness that sort of round those 7 micro expressions off. And that's where you really find the real truth. But as I always say to people, don't just react on one indicator. Have a look and make sure that they all sort of align. I know that when I was a kid, and you probably saw them on the walls in your lounge rooms, people used to put in those little plaster ducks, and they'd have the 3 ducks on the wall flying off in one direction. So the bigger one to the smaller one going up. And the saying that came from that was, make sure all your ducks are in a row. And it's the same thing when it comes to reading people. Make sure that all the indicators are pointing the one way. And if they are, then that's pretty much where the truth is lying. If they're sort of in different directions, you need to do a bit more checking to make sure you got it right. But the good thing about the facial features, though, there is no right or wrong trait. Every trait's got an upside, every trait's got a downside, but it tells you how that person likes to think and process, which therefore teaches you how to connect with them. Because I guarantee a lot of traits, and these people out there who have got partners, if they're going through some tough times, I guarantee your partner hasn't changed. What it is that the traits they have, the upsides attracted you in the relationship. As time went along, you got used to the upsides, and now you notice the downside of the traits. But once you know how to talk to their downside, you bring the excitement back into the relationship. So this works brilliantly in couples when it comes to improving their existing relationships, or even finding the partner of your dreams as well. But you have to know yourself first, know the other person, and then change the way you want to be spoken to match the way that they want to be spoken to. And that's what I teach parents, school teachers, business people, people of all ages, in how to do just that.
I love all this. It's fascinating. Any other tips on the science and art of reading people that you can give our viewers today?
Yeah, well, I always, by the way, I've got a free gift for all your listeners as well. I've got what I call the 7 secrets to reading people. And as I mentioned, the first 3 really is know your own personality. And by that, there's a world scale. And it's not, you may feel that I've got a certain confidence level, but there are going to be people more confident than you, and there are going to be people less confident than you. And when you need to know where you are on that line, so that when you then read them and know where they are on their line, you know how to change the way you like to be spoken to match the way that they want to be spoken to. And if you do that, you get a faster and a connection with them. They'll listen to more of what you got to say. So the first 3 secrets: know yourself, learn to understand the other person, speak to them the way that they want to be spoken to. But when it comes to it, every trait will tell you so much about a person. And I said, as they walk around the corner from, say, 10 feet away, and by the time they've walked past you while you're still walking towards them at normal pace, there's so many traits that you can see in their face. Because what stands out the most first? What stands out second? How do they moderate and enhance each other? What stands out third? So in that short time, if somebody walks past you, in the first 6 or 7 traits, you got the bulk of their personality. Everything else is more towards the middle of the run. And there is about 68 traits that I work with. But that's why there's so many different personalities on the planet. Everybody is different. 7.7 billion people, 7.7 different personalities.
Amazing. Thank you for that gift. That's amazing. We can pop that in the comments afterwards. The link to the free gift by Alan. Thank you so much. And now I'd love to chat about the Campfire Project that is getting so much acclaim out there, and people absolutely love it, and the whole We Together movement. I think it's just absolutely brilliant. So how did you come to start the Campfire Project?
Well, it started first of all from a lot of the clients that I was talking to, especially the men, with political correctness and the gender equality and everything else. And a lot of men were saying, well, we don't know our role at work. We're really worried about if we say the wrong thing and how that can go the wrong way. They were also saying, well, look, when we first married, we realised that our job was to, pay for the mortgage, go out there and work, and virtually we were the hunters. And the only hunting we do today is to bring back the income. And so they were saying, we're confused. And I went, right, well, you guys obviously need somewhere where you can go and talk, because they said, well, we can't talk to each other. We go down the pub, we talk about everything else, but we never really get into anything of any deep meaning. And my background was very much, I grew up as a loner. I'd been through a lot of different things in my life, and I realised part of the way through about the age of 50, with some of the work I was doing or things that were happening, and I connected with an Aboriginal group. And from the Aboriginal group, I got invited out bush on a regular basis. That went to about a year later, being invited to go through initiation. So I've been understanding their culture, and their culture is beautiful because it's based on 3 pillars: love, humility, and respect. And when you're going through your rite of passage, it's bringing boys into manhood. And it was, this is about 19 years ago, just before I was, or as I was turning 50. And at that point, I was still a boy. If I looked at what I'd learned since then, I might have been of age where people called me a man, but really I was just a boy. And so that process brought me into where I was starting to go into manhood. And so I started learning from there, and I'll always be learning until the day I die. And that was about bringing boys into manhood under those 3 pillars, and also working with men in other groups, which are based on brotherly love, relief, and truth, and helping good men to become better men. I thought those 2 areas blend together so beautifully, and especially from different parts of the world. And I thought, well, that's global. We want to bring boys into manhood. We want to help them become better men. But when they become better men, we don't want them to become the man. We want them to become a man. Because we look at the media today, all the shock jocks and a lot of the sports stars, they're put on a pedestal, which I think is abuse, because the people who put them up there are responsible for their behaviour. They're all trying to be the man. They're all in competition with each other, and that's a lonely place to be. There's no camaraderie. Everybody's looking after themselves. But if a man works on being the best version of themselves by being a man, who do you want around you? Other men who are trying to be their best versions as well. Because we like to gather, we're tribal creatures, and we gather with people who are similar to us. So as we're growing, we want men around us who are growing. And that's when you've got men who are all growing together. That's when a boy comes through. The father's job is not to turn him into a man. The father's job is to get their sons ready to go through manhood. And the boys take a bit from every other man in their personalities and create their own character, which therefore means they're uniquely different to their father and everybody else. And at that point, they immediately have a value to the group, to the tribe. Whereas if dad makes a man of his son, then the end result is he's got to wait till, the son's got to wait until dad falls off the perch before he comes into his own right. I've got 3 sons and they're all chalk and cheese, and I jokingly say I'm still trying to figure out what the third one is. These are three young men that, I love and respect. It was part of it as well. I raised the 3 boys on my own when their mum left. They were 4, 11 and 12. So I started the necessity to understand my sons better so that I could help them to have a better future. And so everything I do, whether it be the Campfire Project or my work, everything's about relationships. And so my business life and my spiritual journey, they're in constant connection all the time. But with the Campfire Project, it allowed men to come in and tell their stories. At that point, I was surprised at how deep they were going in and what they were sharing, and how they were saying that they've never had anybody to talk to before. Yes, they could talk to the mirror or talk to the brick wall, but this is the first time they'd ever had anybody sit and hold the space for them and do it in a way that was very respectful and protected them. And that's why it's a closed group. Anyone can join the group. 2 questions are asked when you come in, and both of those really ask the same question: will you be respectful to everybody? And people do that. I don't care about your background. I don't care about your gender, your religion, or any other thing, your nationality. None of that matters. It's just whether you have that respect for other people. And from that, I'd had women in there from day one, because I knew that if it was only a men's group, how do the men know that they've worked through things and they are getting on track to where they want to be until they go out into the real world? And as we know, there's a lot of trolls out there, both male and female, who can't wait to pull people down. And I thought, right, have the women in there so the men can talk to the women, but it's also an opportunity for the women to actually hear how men could speak when they felt comfortable and safe to do so. Then I brought them into panel discussions. So before it was on screen, on Zoom, from all over the world. And that was when the women, I loved it, they couldn't contain themselves anymore, and they were sending me personal messages going, we love these guys. We've never heard men talk this way before. Can we get involved? And they said, how can we get involved? I said, ask. So they put their hands up, interviewed the women one-on-one, like I did with you the other day. And then the women were coming into the panel discussions. Some panel discussions have just been with me and the women, and there's also been a combination of both men and women. My whole process to this is, my attitude to life is that if you're a leader, your job is to make yourself redundant by raising other people up to do what you can do. And in fact, raise them up so they do it better than you can do, which is what I've done in most areas of my life. And in that, we've got both men and women who are now stepping up and who are running one-on-ones. We've got one young guy who, when I say young, he's in his 40s. He's running a Facebook Live on a Thursday night where he's doing panel discussions on there. We've also then got a young Indigenous guy here in Newcastle who's doing one-on-ones. And I can't wait for when he and the others are all doing panel discussions, because that allows me to get out of the driver's seat more and more and get into the passenger seat. Because as I say to everybody, I'm not getting out of the bus, not for a long time, but I don't need to be in the driver's seat. And there's a much better view from the passenger seat. So yes. I'm being selfish here, and watching and getting the confirmation back from people and what they're saying, what it's meant to them in their lives. And, as I said, my whole life is about relationships and helping people. And so it's something I'm really enjoying doing.
It's wonderful. And we were chatting in the interview you did with me about the importance of men having men time, women having women time. Just like in the tribal days, the men went out hunting, the women collected the berries, and then they came together, they had a big feast and they danced around the fireplace, right? And, this is the thing, is that a lot of men who have been emasculated or distraught or unable to express themselves, particularly I'd say since feminism came about, probably in the 1970s. I think, for a lot of men, from my understanding, it's been really challenging to know their place in the world and what, whether to be chivalrous to women. Some women don't like chivalry anymore. Like there's it's interesting, all these little things, and for men to be able to come together and know that they're supported is really crucial, because we know that a lot of men suicide in their 40s. In fact, I know out of my 4 friends that I know have suicided by the age of 45, 3 of them were men, and they had depression and they felt very alone. So I think what you're doing with the Campfire Project, you're giving people that support so that they know they don't have to go through things alone, and they can share themselves in a safe space and have women come into that circle too in a respectful way. I think that is just wonderful that you do that.
You look at suicide, I should say. Well, first of all, divorce is one of the problems, but 50% of marriages pretty much end up where the father is not present. Either he's totally absent or he's emotionally absent.
Right.
And so those problems there, and that's flowing on to the kids. The boys don't have a role model to move forward. But suicide is a real pandemic worldwide. 15 million people take their lives, are successful, not attempted, but actually do take their lives across the world. In Australia before COVID, it was 8 people a day lose their life, actually commit and are successful at suicide. 2 are women and the other 6 are male. But it's gone up now to about 7 are male. So the numbers actually increased. The women are still about the same. But it won't be too long before all that changes, because isolation, we use that term, which annoyed me every time I heard it, social distancing. No, it's physical distancing. We're social beings. So just by saying, you've got to be socially distanced, that has a subconscious effect on people. It's a mental health issue. So they created one, intending us to be separated. It's physical distancing. I have never been so socially connected as I am now, and since COVID started. COVID changed my life. It just got me with talking to so many more people. In the Campfire Project, in the last year, we've escalated the number of people that we've had one-on-ones with. I'm doing about 3 one-on-ones a week, and 2 to 3 panel discussions, and that's just me. And now we've got other people coming in and doing panel discussions and one-on-ones as well. So it's, we've actually found that people really need to have that connection. The fastest growing industry on the planet leading up to this has been technology. And outside of that, because we've got more devices, but we're less connected to ourselves and each other, the next fastest growing industry was coaching. But we've got so many coaches who are still haven't worked through their own stuff. And so people then withdrew because they said, well, I can't find a good coach. It's another reason for the Campfire Project. The people who are coaching are coming in and they're telling their stories. As we hear it all the time in business that, we don't do business with anybody we don't know, like, and trust. At the same time, it's not what you know. Nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care. We bandy that around, but really it's so true. And so a coach comes in, they will tell me what we'll talk about what they're doing today. But how did you get to doing what you're doing today? Show us where your passion is, your why, as Cynic always talks about. What is the passion that you had? What was the why and what you're doing? While they're talking about that, they're showing they've actually worked through the stuff that they're at. See, I have a habit of saying to people now is that if you're going to talk to a coach, ask them to show you their bank account. And when I mean bank account, if they're saying they're, say 5-star, they're teaching 7-star coaches or 7-figure coaches, check their balance. They're probably only earning 5 figures themselves. In my case, I say to people, well, check my balance. My business is in relationships. You want to check my balance, you look at all the videos and testimonials and reviews on all the different sites I'm on. There's hundreds of them. So my whole thing is about relationships, and those accolades and responses are because of the results that people get. So it's wonderful. When you tell your story, automatically people know who you are. And I don't make any money through the Campfire Project, but a lot of the coaches who have come in have now picked up clients, and those clients are happy because before that they couldn't find decent coaches.
It's so great what you do, and that you do it from the heart like that. And you've got, how many videos have you got on there now?
We've got, with one-on-ones, there's about 200 and, I was getting on to about 240 of those. We've had 93 panel discussions that I've run, 94 now, and Scott's done about 33, 35 Facebook Lives. So there's well over 350 hours of videos up there. And just recently, I was approached with an internet radio station that's just starting called moodfood.com. And the one-on-ones never go outside the Campfire Project. They're kept sacred to protect the people, so that people can tell their story as deeply as they like to tell it. The panel discussions, we're talking about all sorts of situations. Men and women talking about menopause, masculinity, pornography, menstruation, for the understanding the men to understand their wives, but also understand their daughters and help them. And so we have all those discussions. Well, they will be going out. There's about 130 hours of those, which will be going on that radio station, and we'll keep adding to those as well. So on that channel, there'll be a regular segment there for the Campfire Project panel discussions.
Wonderful. And every single interview that you put out, you are leaving a legacy. You are helping people leave a legacy and share their story before they die. Because, you know, the average person, a third of people die by the age of 65. That's the stats, right? So, you know, if you're not sharing your story on video, then you're not leaving a legacy. So it's a fantastic way that you're helping leave a legacy for the planet. Now, I'm curious, Alan, you've talked about stories a bit. What is some of the main parts of your story? So what are some challenges that you've been through that you've overcome in a snapshot? I know we haven't got too much time left, but
okay, here's a rapid fire of it. Yes. My father died when I was 3. I lived with my mother and sister. I went through a lot of bullying leading up to that in school, and so at the age of 9, I felt like I didn't belong in the house. My sister didn't talk to me much, but I didn't realise until later in life the things that she went through. And I was 9 years old when I climbed into my mother's pill cupboard because I decided I'd had enough. I was out of here. But while I was doing that, I got angry and then thought everyone's going to be happy when I'm gone. And I thought, why am I making them happy? I then joined Telecom. I got rejected, or PMG in those days. I got rejected twice because I'd failed the exam, but found out that they were taking 750 people and I was 900 and something. They had that many dropouts. They finally accepted me, and I left school in year 11 to be in year 11. 10 years later, I was the youngest supervising technician in Australia. So much for their entrance exam. Then I left Sydney and came to Newcastle, put in charge of men. I was 23 years old, and my second in charge was 38. So I had to get them on side. So that was the beginning of needing to understand people. In my mid-30s, I joined the surf club. They put me in charge of they taught me to be a patrol captain. They gave me everyone that no one else wanted, turned them into the patrol of the year. Then they taught me into being the club captain. And as I said, I make myself redundant in everything I do. So when I kept that other squad together for the following year when I was club captain, promoted one of the guys to the patrol captain's job. They won the award again that year. Then for 3 years, I was the zone supervisor of Stockton and the Nobbies, but now I'm the Stockton Nobbies and Newcastle zone supervisor, club captain at Nobbies. In that time, I thought, I've got to make myself redundant here as well. And the guy who took over, it was reported back to me that he'd been a better club captain than I was. And I thought that was brilliant. In my mid-30s, or late 30s, I should say, my first wife left and I had 3 boys to raise on my own. They were 4, 11 and 12. And so it's always been one more challenge after another. My second divorce, as I said, that just floored me. It was only a short marriage, but I needed to find out more about myself and more about how to read what made people tick. And that's continuing. So there's, as I say, I'll never stop learning. But I also live by the factor that what you do for yourself dies with you, but what you do for others and for the environment isn't always will be eternal. And so that's the legacy I'm leaving with the Campfire Project. And also at the moment in my business, creating and training my competition. More people doing what I'm doing, the better. But they've got to be doing it right.
Fantastic. You're such an ambitious guy, Alan. Some of the things you've done are extraordinary. And it feels like you're just getting started. You know, you're on such a roll and you're loving what you're doing, aren't you? So what is it that drives you?
It's seeing people get results. You know, I've got one mother who really stands out because 10 years ago I profiled her son, 6 years old with Asperger's, medicating him and all the rest of it and all the problems I were having. School didn't want him, after schools care didn't want him. I profiled him for her, gave her a report which she very smartly played the after schools care against the teachers, saying that to each one of them the others were doing it. If they didn't do it, it'd be on their heads. She's still doing testimonial videos for me today, still getting results. He's going on 16, and he would have been a handful because at the age of 14 he was 6'1". So the fact that she's got that communication relationship with him, and as she says, if you mention her son's name, her whole face lights up. And then she keeps telling me about the wonderful conversations and that she has with him, and how he's become a confidant and coming up with a lot of ideas that gets her thinking in different ways as well. So it's when I see that sort of stuff and knowing that we are creating a better future and that global community, that's what drives me. I'm 60, going on 69, and I'm actually planning out my next 20 years, and I won't be retiring.
Fantastic. And how can people work with you, and how can they get involved in the Campfire Project?
Well, best way, if they want to get in touch with me, is to jump onto my website, which is alanstevens.com.au. There's a contact form there when they can send me some details. And the Campfire Project, just look up the Campfire Project, or look up both Reading Faces, and it got me a long time to get away from the title of Celebrity Profiler, but that's what my Facebook personal page is. You'll find that there. But if you do a search for the Campfire Project, and the word campfire as being 2 words, only because I couldn't get the one word that was already taken, that will take them to the page. You'll be able to just answer the 2 questions, come in and join us, listen to all the videos that are in there, and when you're ready, put your hand up and I'll be happy to have a chat with you.
Fantastic. And you have a free offer you mentioned earlier, so could you just repeat that, please? And if you have a link, pop it in the chat.
That will be my website again. It's alanstevens.com.au/7 and the word secrets without any spaces in it. That's it'll 6 emails that'll come out to you over 11 days. And it comes out that way because each of the emails have a video in them, which shows you how to read different traits and how to go out and read them for yourself, talk to the other person. So it gives you an opportunity to test the things out for yourself.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm just popping that in the chat there, alanstevens.com.au/7 secrets. Hello, Christian. Good to see you there. Hello, if you're watching this, what have you been getting out of this so far? And where are you joining us from? Just pop into the comments there. Thank you so much, Alan. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Any final words you'd like to leave with us today?
Yeah, just remember that in life, the things that you don't know are probably going to be the most important things. As I said, next thing you learn, after you think you know everything, it's the most important thing you'll ever learn. Test out anything, no matter what I say or anybody else says, test it out. Check it for yourself. Do your own investigation on it, and keep that open mind, because there are so many things that you miss by thinking, oh, no, that won't work. Or that doesn't sound right. Test it.
Yes, test it.
You're happily surprised.
Yes, yes. And adding to that, follow your heart and be clear on what is your why. Why are you here? I believe we're all here for a purpose and a reason. Christian says, so amazing, such good work, Alan. Thank you, Christian. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, Alan. I know how busy you are, and I know you need to fly off to your next meeting now. So thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. You give so much back to the community. Please check out the Campfire Project on Facebook, and we've got in the chat there alanstevens.com.au/7 secrets to get the free offer there. And you can connect with me on Media Queen TV on YouTube, and also follow me on Eventbrite, and you'll get all our event updates. We actually have the Mass Media Tribe event on tonight with Nick Cree, who you know, Alan. Nick Cree is speaking about Transform Your Business Online tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. And we have the Global Good News Challenge happening currently up until the 5th of February. It's a monthly challenge. Check out the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page for that. Pinned to the top is all the details on how to get involved. Christian says, good on you, Aldwyn, to bring all these beautiful people to our attention. Thank you, Christian. That's lovely. Alan is certainly an amazing person, and just on the point of boys don't cry, I think we have tear ducts for a reason. So I think that
If any man out there thinks that crying is sissy, come and sit down with me. If you don't know how to cry, I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah. I
Your
love it.
vulnerability is where your real strength is.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. And I love vulnerable guys. I love people who share from the heart. It helps me connect with men and women who can do that, who are open to sharing from the heart and being vulnerable and being authentic. Authenticity is the new currency, I say. Thank you once again, Alan. Thank you so much for watching this. Pop your comments in the chat. Make sure you like, share this if you like what you've seen. Subscribe to Media Queen TV. Check out Alan's stuff. And we will see you again soon back on Media Queen TV. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world. And remember to shine bright and light up all those around you. I'm Aldwyn signing out with the amazing interview with Alan Stevens from the Campfire Project, the face profiler. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye.